Boom, ba-doom, ba-doom. Here we go, here we go, here we go. Hey, what is going on? What is going on? Let me know. Make sure that you guys can hear me. Thumbs up on the Instagram, thumbs up on Clapper. Much appreciated if you guys can confirm that you can hear me. Let me take a sip of this coffee here. Give you guys a second to join, but all right, Snazzy. What's going on, Snazzy? Thanks for the support. It seems to always be there, and I really appreciate it. So thank you. Thank you. And Chris Gen 17, same thing. Thank you very much. Yep. So you know what? I got confirmation on the Instagram that it's working. So let's take it from there. Now, you guys must have heard by now the announcement that was made yesterday by Kamala Fruit Salad Harris, or Word Salad Harris, should I say. But hopefully you guys saw what she announced yesterday. Good morning to the Patriarch Angel. Good morning to you. But hopefully you guys saw the announcement. She finally, I can't really say finally, considering she's only been the candidate for like a week now. But did you see the announcement that she made about her VP choice? Who's the VP that the VP chose? A guy by the name of Tim Walz. I'm dedicated this whole episode to him because it is important for us to understand who that person is. Who is that guy and why did she choose him? Because you'll see that he is the perfect candidate for the DEI agenda that the Democrats have and have been pushing for a long time. Ever since Obama, they've been very vocal about DEI, and you'll understand why Tim is the perfect candidate for them. It's either really going to work or backfire in their faces. We'll see. I want to know what you guys think about this, so make sure to comment, make sure to let me know what you think. And people on the Instagram also, just so you know, if you guys want to follow this on Rumble, on a platform that does not censor my stuff, join me on Rumble at The Real Nico Lagan. I share videos on there that I cannot share anywhere else because I'm in trouble enough already that they banned me on Facebook. They canceled all of my accounts about a month ago. I tried to be a bit more careful on Instagram just because I don't want the same fate to happen. So I've been pushing my stuff on Rumble. So if you guys want to see my uncensored stuff, the stuff that I really want to talk about, but unfortunately I'm not allowed to speak on either Clapper or any other platform like Instagram or TikTok, find me at Real Nico Lagan on Rumble, and you will see what I really want to talk about. That being said, let's run through a quick bio of who Tim Walz is. Tim Walz is the governor of Minnesota ever since 2019. Prior to that, he was a House rep from 2007 to 2019 for Minnesota as well. He has a bachelor in social studies and a master in education. Before entering politics, he served, I don't want to say served, he was a high school social studies teacher. Is it starting to make sense yet? He served in the Army's National Guard for 24 years, the 2 tour in Iraq. So not only is he a social studies teacher, but he's also a vet. He, during his first 12 years as a House rep, he focused on Veterans Affairs. He focused on education and healthcare, which up to now, it all makes sense, right? Up to now, a vet trying to promote Veterans Affairs issues, awesome, totally for it. Education, he has a master in education, so we would like to believe that he knows what he's talking about, right? And healthcare. But as a governor, ever since 2019, his priorities have changed. He focuses on education, healthcare, and infrastructure. Although it sounds that education and healthcare are basically the same, you got to be careful because those are very vague terms, right? He's been a very vocal advocate for progressive ideas and policies including climate action, gun safety, and LGBTQ plus rights. So basically, he went from serving his country for 24 years to becoming a social Marxist. He became a cultural Marxist, it seems like, since 2019. Since 2019, he has become the perfect candidate for Harris DEI, the DEI plan that the Democrats have, and the same reason why Harris is the candidate, right? But here is where things get really interested, because this was announced yesterday, and I didn't know much about Tim Walz. I'll be truly honest with you guys. I did not know much about him. I did not know who that guy was. He's a Democrat. I don't tend to follow Democrat, although I got to point this out. If you want to know who you're running against, if you want to know what's going on, you need to research everybody. So as somebody that sits somewhere in the middle, I look at the right, I look at the left, and I look at the people that are more like me, somewhere in the middle. So I did a lot of research on Tim Walz this morning to get prepared for this. And before I go into my opinion of him, before I go into the type of policies that he's pushing, it's important that we look at what the left is pushing. And there's an interview that came out, it's not an interview, a report, if you will, by MSNBC. It came out yesterday, about 8 hours ago. So technically it came out this morning. And they go over a very good history of Tim Walz, what he used to believe in to what the type of person that he's become. I apologize if this is brutal. I am not a fan of the woman that hosts this show, but it is crucial that we understand the type of views that they're pushing. We need to understand why they chose that guy, why they think that he's the best candidate, to be prepared to see what's going to come out of his mouth. And it's already started, right? Yesterday, he was already calling MAGAs weird and creepy. He even said about JD Vance that if he can find the time to get off the couch, he'd like to debate him. But let me share this with you. And the people on Clapper, unfortunately, like I always say, I'm not capable of sharing my screen on the platform. But if you want to see what I'm sharing, join me on Rumble at Real Nico Lagan. You can see my screen. Now, let's hear this video. And I will pause it every now and then because it's just fucking outrageous. But let's listen to this video in order to get a really good idea of who Tim Walz is and why the left has chosen.
I'm Tim Walz. You know, growing up hunting taught me a lot about responsibility and respect. Lessons I hope to pass on to my kids. I'm proud to stand with the NRA to protect the rights of sportsmen and gun owners.
That was Vice President Kamala Harris's new running mate, Tim Walz.
And up to now, it sounds good, right? Sounds like a guy that's pro-guns that will stand with the NRA. Up to now, sounds good, right?
Walz proudly declaring his support for the National Rifle Association in a radio ad in 2010. Now, that same year, not only did the NRA give Walz an A rating, the gun group endorsed Walz over his Republican challenger. In 2016, Guns and Ammo magazine named then Representative Walz as one of the top 20 politicians for gun owners. Okay.
Up to now, that actually sounds like a Republican. Is it me? Or up to now, if it wasn't on MSNBC, I would like, oh shit, this is a Republican. How does a Republican get chosen by the most left-leaning candidate ever chosen by the Democrats?
Now hold all of that in your mind and listen to Walz's State of the State address as governor of Minnesota last year.
The time for hiding behind thoughts and prayers is long gone. What we need is action, and we need it now. So here's what's going to happen. Here's what's going to happen. We've got gun safety bill on the table, and we're going to get it passed. And I'm going to sign it.
Now, 1 month out.
Doesn't sound like somebody that's pro-gun anymore, does it? Already, he's talking about passing laws, gun laws. So he's restricting gun access in Minnesota. Let's continue.
After that speech, Governor Walz did just that. He signed a bill creating a red flag law and expanding background checks for gun owners in Minnesota. Now, there are already plenty of articles online slamming Walz as a, quote, political chameleon or claiming that he made an epic flip-flop on guns. But that simply is not true. I mean,
actually, it's 100% true. Like, whatever she says, this is what we need to be careful about. When we're listening to somebody that is as biased as MSNBC, that will push any ideas from the DEI culture to Marxism, we need to be very careful about what we're listening to and put it into perspective. This is a flip-flop. They can do whatever the fuck they want. He went from being pro-gun to being endorsed by the NRA to passing laws restricting access to firearms. Let's continue.
I mean, this change for Walz has been more than a decade in the making.
If the question was, how do you get there? I've been open to it. I've listened. I've talked to people. I've watched people on both sides of this. But again, when I turn on my television like everybody else, and this is repeated again, and we're not doing anything about it, when I said I was open to it in 2012 to see what's happening, I've seen enough, like America. I've seen enough of this. I've seen enough of this carnage. I've seen enough of these things being a part of that. And I think now is the time.
Pretty freaking refreshing. I mean, in the wake of the Sandy Hook Elementary School shooting in 2012, a shooting that left 20 children and 6 adults dead. Walz was
This is pretty refreshing. You know what I find would be pretty refreshing? If we stop blaming inanimate object for the actions of human beings. Because guns don't kill people. People kill people, right?
wasn't sure what the answer was on how to address gun violence, but he told the press he wasn't willing to do nothing. Then after the Las Vegas shooting in 2017 killed nearly 60 people and hurt almost 500, Walz donated every penny he had ever received from the NRA to charity. In 2018, after the Parkland High School shooting killed 17 people and injured 17 more, Walz got a wake-up call on this issue from his own daughter, Hope.
Before I let this play, keep that in mind. You have an elected official that is taking advice from his daughter. That is not what we call parenting, is it? The parents are supposed to teach their children what they should believe in. And if they don't, try to explain to them why, as an adult, they chose to do certain things. You don't listen to your kids and change all of your policies from what they're telling you. It's the other way around. You need to explain to your children what is actually happening in a context that makes sense to them.
Hope woke up like many of you did 5 weeks ago and said, Dad, you're the only person I know who's in elected office. You need to stop what's happening with this. I'll take my kick in the butt for the NRA. I spent 25 years in the Army and I hunt.
So yeah, Walz's position on how we should address gun violence has changed. It was an evolution. And I bet a heck of a lot of Americans went through that same evolution with him.
This is where the big lies start to show up in this garbage of a video that at least tells us what they really believe. But this is where the lies are going to start coming. And the fact that he's saying that, that she's saying that a lot of Americans are thinking like him, I don't know any. I don't know any Americans that is pro-gun, that is changing their stance on guns because of what he's doing. Do you? That's a question for you. Do you know, as a pro-gun American, do you know people that change their minds into saying, let's blame guns for the problem. Let's not blame criminals. Let's make something happen. Let's put laws into place that has been proven to have no impact whatsoever on shootings. But let's continue.
And the willingness to acknowledge and change your view isn't a weakness in a leader. It's a strength.
I was one of the best shots in Congress, but in Minnesota, we believe in the Second Amendment, but we also believe in common sense gun violence laws.
Right then and there, you cannot have both. It's just like free speech. You either have free speech or you allow hate speech to dictate what you can and cannot say. You cannot, free speech is not a part of speech. It's 100% speech. It means that the government cannot censor you. That's what free speech is. The same thing goes for the Second Amendment. You either have the right to bear arms or you don't. There's no in between. Those are absolute values. So to say that I can be pro-gun, pro-Second Amendment, and at the same time be good with changing the Second Amendment makes no fucking sense. And this is why we need to be very, very careful about statements like this, because we need to look at it from a logical perspective and look at it when it comes from the law, when it comes to from a law standpoint. You either have free speech or you don't. You either have the rights to bear arms or you don't. So calling them, as we all know, they call them common sense gun laws. It's just a pretext to put restrictions on the guns that you can own. Let's continue.
That was Governor Tim Walz earlier tonight, referencing his strong record on passing gun safety laws in his state. That's just one of the reasons Walz is being called a Gen Z ally, along with his success passing abortion protections and legalizing marijuana and many other things too. Maxwell Frost.
See here what they just said. Now they're starting to say that he's pro-abortion, and they're starting to say that he's in favor of passing laws for legalizing marijuana. So we really have a guy that started as an army vet that served for 24 years, went to Iraq twice, until 2019 was really concerned about veterans affairs, education, and healthcare. Now, since 2019, he's kind of shifted his ideology and now is looking at being a pro-abortion and as well as LGBTQ ally. Let's continue.
The first member of Gen Z elected to Congress had this to say about the pick. Tim Walz knows what it means to show the people that government can work for them. Florida Congressman Maxwell Frost joins me now. Great to see you. His evolution here, and I thought of you as I read more about this. He had an A rating with the NRA. A lot of things happened, including the Parkland shooting. And after that, he had a conversation with his daughter. He basically said, enough is enough. I know, obviously, the Parkland shooting was so impactful on your life. I was wondering how you think about that part of Tim Walz's story.
Before we go, did you see how she called it an evolution? But how is that an evolution? How is it to believe in pro-guns, to be pro-guns and believe in the Second Amendment? How is it an evolution to pushing cultural Marxism, to be able to tell people what they can and cannot own? This is a question you need to be very careful about. This is not an evolution. Taking advice from your daughter? Really? You're a fucking adult, bro. Your daughter should be taking advice from you, not the other way around. Your daughter is making decisions that are emotional without having the intelligence yet to understand what's actually happening. Gun violence is not perpetuated. It's not done because of guns. It is done because of sick people, mental health issues that use guns in order to express themselves. As fucked up as this sounds, this is exactly what's happening. Because if you look into the psychology of mass shooters, they're not healthy. Most of them, if not all of them, were on antidepressant. Do you think that it's a gun problem, or is it more likely to be a mental health problem? And this is the issue. And where it gets very interesting is 20 years ago, body dysmorphia or gender dysmorphia was regarded as a mental health issue that needed to be addressed. Now we have people like the next person that you're going to see on the screen right now when he starts talking, that's an LGBTQ community member, that are telling us that it's an evolution for a guy that used logical principles as to be pro Second Amendment to evolving into relying on his emotion to take away guns from law-abiding citizens. Because this is what's happening. The same people that were mentally ill 20 years ago are now running the asylum. We live in a time where the patients are running the asylum. We have people with mental health issues that are telling us how we should live our life instead of us telling them, you need to seek medical attention for this. We need to stop allowing them to tell us what to do, and us, just like they were children, tell them, you need help. Those are the steps you need to take, and let's stop with this insanity.
Yeah, well, I appreciate the question, Jen. And, the thing that gives me so much comfort in hearing his story is the fact that there are so many Americans who have the same story. There are so many people out there who are now voting for Democrats up and down the ballot. They are gun owners. They are people who have guns. They are people who saw shootings happen and heard from their kids and believed we have to do something about it, but for far too long didn't vote for the right people because the NRA and leaders told them it wasn't the right thing to do, that it was against their values and against their beliefs. But Tim Walz is showing us that that is a load of BS, right? That is.
So this is a load of BS. So basically, this guy is also admitting that we should listen to our children in the way that we pass policies. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? But this, as you will see, and it will continue for the next 3 to 4 months until election day, this type of message is going to continue. They're going to keep on telling us that children know better. Are you fucking kidding me? They're children. They don't know better. There's a good reason why they're not allowed to vote when they're 6 or 7 or 8 years old. This is why they cannot own guns before they're 18. This is why they can't drink when they're that young. That's why they can't drive cars when they're that young. Yet, those are the people the Democrats are telling us we need to listen to.
Is complete that is a complete lie sold to us from the NRA, that you can be a gun owner, you can be someone who comes from gun culture and still believe in common sense gun reform. And here's the thing, the numbers prove it. Most Americans, over 90% of Americans, are for universal background checks. Most Republicans are for universal background checks. Most NRA members are for universal background checks. And so
where do those numbers come from? Because he's saying 90% of Americans are for universal background check. Really? Where do those fucking numbers come from? I've been doing research on this for more than 4 years. I have never seen those numbers before. He's also saying that most Republicans are for it. That's fucking bullshit yet again. And he's not mentioning any studies. He's not talking about actual research here. He's just throwing numbers out there that sounds very impressive without backing them up. 90% of Americans believe in universal background check. Really? Show me the study. Most Republicans believe in universal background check. Really? Where do those studies come from?
So he represents people who have that same story, but here's the best part. He also represents what people can be. And right now, as we speak, there are tons of Americans, gun-owning Americans, who, again, want to make that decision to pull that lever to fill in that bubble for Kamala Harris and for Tim Walz, because they want to save lives, but they've been told it's the wrong thing to do. And what we want to tell people is exactly what Tim Walz saw. The NRA is not for everyday gun owners. They're for everyday gun manufacturers. They're not an advocacy group for gun owners. They are a lobbying front for the gun lobby to make more money. No matter.
Okay, so did you hear what that guy just said? That the NRA is not for the people, that the NRA is for companies. Yet the big three investment firms in the world, BlackRock, Vanguard, and damn, what's the third one? Let's just concentrate on BlackRock and Vanguard. The two biggest investment firms in the world have been passing policies where they want to prevent legal companies to sell legal products like firearm. And they're telling us that the NRA is the lobby that's preventing, that is not protecting gun owners. Are you fucking kidding me? And this is what is going to happen more and more. So you got to be very careful about those type of interviews and what those people are saying, because they're making it sound like they're providing numbers, which always work to sway people's ideas. When you hear that 90% of Americans are pro universal background check, oh shit, if I'm in the 10%, I'm not with the people. So you need to be very careful about what those people are saying, because they make up numbers. Those numbers don't exist. I have never seen those studies. There's no fucking way in hell that 90% of Americans are pro universal background check. So we need to be extremely, extremely careful when we hear. It's important that we listen to what those people say because we need to be prepared. We need to actually understand what they want. And people like Tim Walz and Kamala Harris, what they want is what they call common sense gun laws. You'll see that that term is going to start being pushed more and more because now they have a VP that's a vet. So supposedly that guy is going to have a voice with veterans. So we got to be very careful what those laws actually mean because now instead of having a woman that has no clue what she's talking about when it comes to guns, now they have a veteran that is against, that is not pro-gun anymore, that have, as they quoted, evolved from being pro-gun to being pro-common sense gun laws. But what does that actually mean? So there's 5 points. There's 5 main points when it comes to common sense gun laws. First, as they said in this video, universal background check. This is something that they want. They want background checks on every single gun sale, including those that are done in gun shows as well as online. I'm not sure how that's possible to run a universal background check on something that you buy on a website. Like if I sell my gun to another gun owner, I don't know how you're supposed to do that, but that's number one. Number two, renewal of assault weapons ban. They want to ban assault weapons. But let me ask you this, before I go into the definition of an assault weapon, what is an assault weapon? Have you ever heard any of them give us an actual description or a definition, should I say, of what an assault weapon is? Number three, red flag laws. They want laws allowing authorities to temporarily confiscate guns from individuals that are deemed to be at risk to themselves and to others. Who gets to make that decision? In a world where displaying an American flag in front of your house or on your truck or on your car is considered white supremacy, who the fuck are they? Who the fuck is Kamala Harris to tell us who should and should not have guns? And this is where you need to be very careful when it comes to red flag laws, is that there's not really a definition to that either. That is anything that they deem to be dangerous. So is voting for Trump something that's dangerous to the government? Think about it, because if you look at free speech, hate speech is dangerous, right? Also, they say. I don't think that hate speech is dangerous at all. I want people to have the capacity to hate as much as they want. I want to know what people think. The more restrictions you put on people, the more they're going to do it behind closed doors. I believe in free speech first and foremost because I want to know what people are thinking. I want to be able to see the next Hitler rise to power. And as we can see right now, hopefully you can see this, but a woman like Kamala Harris is the next dictator. She is a dictator in the making, just like Justin Trudeau is in Canada. Kamala Harris is the feminine version of Justin Trudeau. Number four, they want to put prohibition on sales to domestic violence offenders. You know what? That one is hard for me to argue, right? Like if you have a couple that somebody hit somebody else in a couple, that's what they mean. So if there was domestic violence, those people should not be allowed to have guns. When you hear it that way, it makes sense, right? But again, in a world where a woman can call the police on a man and automatically the man is always removed, automatically, you can ask police officers where you're from. If a woman calls the police on her husband, on her boyfriend, claiming domestic violence, they will take the guy away automatically. They will remove the men because we're prone to violence. Yet, study shows that the people that are more at risk of domestic violence are lesbian couples. Lesbian couples are more at risk of domestic violence than a traditional straight couple, men and women. So you got to be very careful because it sounds like common sense and they're not stupid. Let's not underestimate those people. They're not stupid. They know exactly what they're doing. So that's why your job is to look at what they're saying and try to understand and read between the lines. Number 5, increased funding for gun violence research. Okay, sure. You know what? That one I agree with. That one I actually agree with. And what they're going to find is that they need better ways to detect mental health issues. It's pretty fucking simple. The research has been done for years. Senators like Ted Cruz has been talking about this forever. Yet the Democrat never listened because their goals are not to make the country safer. Their goals are to confiscate guns. That's the goal. Don't lie to yourself thinking that they have your best interests at heart. What they're trying to do, plain and simple, is take your guns away. And take it from a Canadian. Take it from a guy. I spent almost 2 years in your country, traveling coast to coast to coast. And I got to tell you, your country fucking rules. Your country is fucking awesome. There's a lot of patriots out there that still believe in what the US stood for. Yet in Canada, we allowed a guy like Trudeau to pass gun laws after gun laws after gun laws after gun laws. And now some of my guns, I can't even take them out of my house. I'm not allowed to do anything with them. Yet when I bought them, they were 100% legal. But I bought them under a conservative government, under your equivalent of a Republican government. And if you think I'm full of shit, if you think that what I'm saying is conspiracy theories, listen to the next 2 videos of Kamala Harris telling us what she will do. In this video, she tells us what she will do if elected within the first 100 years of her government. Listen to this. And if this doesn't scare you, hopefully the video after that scares the shit out of you. Listen to this.
Adding to your gun control agenda? Yeah, I think it's a great idea. But I mean, listen, I don't think we lack for great ideas. As I've said many times, we've been having great ideas for decades. The problem is that Congress has not had the courage to act. And that is why, from the beginning, I have said, my agenda includes attempting to get Congress to act, but if they don't within the first 100 days of my administration, I'm going to take executive action.
And yes, you heard that right. She just said that it does not pass the laws that she wants to pass, the gun laws that she wants to pass. She will pass them as executive order. She will overrule them and just pass the laws that she wants to pass. And again, if you think that I'm full of shit, listen to this one. Listen to this fucking video. And this was done 2 weeks ago. This video is not even 2 weeks old. Listen to this and tell me this. Understand what her plan is. Listen to this.
On Vice President Kamala Harris.
So at her first presidential rally, Kamala with her Wahala Harris said this.
We who believe that every person in our nation who should have the freedom to live safe from the terror of gun violence will finally pass red flag laws, universal background checks, and an assault weapons ban.
First off,
so she just said on camera that she will pass red flag laws, universal background check, and a ban on assault weapons. What's a fucking assault weapon? What is an assault weapon? Because they never give you the definition. You know why? Because it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as an assault weapon. And if you ask anybody that you know that is more left-leaning, that does not own guns, and ask them what an assault weapon is. Ask them to define that term for you. And you know what they're going to tell you? They're going to say that it's literally the aesthetics of a gun because it is black, it has a retractable stock, it has a pistol grip, it looks dangerous. That's an assault weapon. But what does the look of a gun have anything to do with the firing mechanism? Because if you ask this to any left-leaning person that you know, they will tell you that they want to ban machine guns and they want to ban army guns, guns that are fully automatic. Guess what? They've been banned for 80 years. Unless you have a very special permit in the US, you're not able to buy fully automatic guns. So basically, what they're calling an assault weapon is something that looks scary. And what do you think? What is the most popular gun in the US? The AR-15. Scary as hell, isn't it? So she's basically saying, if you learn to read between the lines, what she's telling you is that she will ban AR-15s. It's a scary gun that's black, that you can have a retractable stock on it with a pistol grip. But they're semi-automatic. Those guns are not fully automatic. You can't just hold the trigger and empty your mag. You need to pull. Every time you want to shoot, one pull of the trigger, pow, one bullet goes out. But because it is black, it has a pistol grip, it looks aggressive, they want to ban it. So be careful when you hear things like that. There's no such thing as common sense gun laws. There's no such thing. There's either the Second Amendment that was made to protect you against people like her, and then you have a loss of freedom. Those are your two choices. Every time you hear a politician talk about security or safety, you know that they're trying to take your rights away. But you know what happens when you're free? Shit happens. What freedom has a cost. You're either free or you don't. If you are free, that means that you have the ability to protect yourself and your family, and guns are one of the best ways you can protect yourself. But the Second Amendment is not about protecting yourself against a robber or going to hunt. The Second Amendment is to protect yourself against a tyrannical government. And she is showing right now that she is a tyrant in the making. It's insane that we have people that cannot understand this very simple fact. This is why I said it, and I will say it again. You need to learn to read between the lines. Because a woman like her is scary as hell, because I know what it is to live in a country where you have a tyrant, and she is just like Justin Trudeau in Canada. She's no different. She is the exact same thing. And just to show you, I will show you one video, and I wish this video was a fucking joke, but it is not. This is 100% real. This is a video that was posted about 2 months ago from the Toronto Police, which is the biggest city in Canada. And because we've been restricting gun laws and restricting gun laws, we've been putting restricted gun laws in place, people have no way to protect themselves anymore. And listen to this. This is one of the dumbest videos you'll ever hear in your life, yet it is 100% true. And this is what the Toronto police, the police responsible for keeping people safe in the biggest city in Canada, said to their citizens when it comes to the increase in violent crimes and home invasions. Listen to this.
Vehicle owners.
Oh, my bad. I didn't share the video. My bad. Hey, now the video should be there.
There's also updated advice for all vehicle owners. A message echoed by Toronto police speaking at an Etobicoke safety meeting last month. Constable Marco Ricciardi had a new message for vehicle owners who keep their fobs in Faraday pouches.
To prevent the possibility of being attacked in your home, leave your fobs at your front door, because they're breaking into your home to steal your car. They don't want anything else. A lot of them that they're arresting have guns on them, and they're not toy guns, they're real guns. They're loaded.
That's why
Did you hear what he just said? You got the Toronto police that is telling people in Toronto to leave their car fobs outside of their house so that the people, the criminals, won't come into their house to steal it. So to protect yourself against a home invasion, to protect yourself against criminals, let's give them what they want. This is the advice that the Toronto police had for their citizens in Toronto. You might think this is hilarious. You might think that this will never happen in the US. But understand this. This only happened because we've been deprived of our gun rights. It is no longer legal to fucking defend yourself against criminals. It's not legal for us to shoot a criminal that is trying to invade our house. And how do you think it started? With common sense gun laws. Now, like I said, I have multiple guns I can't even take out of my safe. I have no use for them. They're literal paperweight. Because of gun laws, those guns I can no longer use. And if somebody were to come into my house where my family lives, and I defended my family against criminals that are entering my house, and I would shoot them, I'm the one that's in trouble. This is what's coming to the US. This is the next step. And this is not going to happen over a few weeks. This will happen over years. It's always a tiny bit at a time, just a tiny bit at a time. But this is no joke. This is what's coming for you if you elect a woman like Kamala Harris. Yet, you know, the thing that pisses me off the most about all of this is not even the fact that she's an idiot. Because she's a puppet put in power because she will do whatever the fuck she's being told to do. That's not even the part that pisses me off, is that we don't address what the real problem is. We have a mental health issue, not a gun issue. The US does not have a gun issue. It's a mental health issue. It would be the same thing as overweight person blaming the fork for making them fat. It's the operator of the tool. A fork, just like a gun, is a tool. Whoever operates that tool is responsible for what happens. The fork did not make obese people fat. They caused themselves to be fat while using a fork. It's the same thing with guns. Guns don't kill people. People kill people with guns. And you know what the worst part is? If you don't have guns, you know what's going to happen? Criminals are the only one that's going to have guns. Do you think that it's a coincidence that most of the gun crimes, most of the violent crimes that happens in the US where there's a gun involved are in the cities that have the strictest gun laws? You think it's a coincidence? Of course not. You're basically telling criminals that nobody else can have guns. And even if they do have guns, they cannot use them to defend themselves. So just like in Toronto, just like in the video I shared with you, you have law-abiding citizens that are no longer capable of protecting themselves because the government on one hand is telling them nobody should own those type of guns because they're black and dangerous, and because you can't own those guns anymore, you have no way of protecting yourself against criminals, and they don't care about laws. Criminals are criminals because they don't follow the law. So basically, people like Kamala Harris are telling you, rely on the police for your own protection, yet the police is telling you to give your shit away to criminals so they don't attack you. Can you see how fucking ridiculous this is? But this is the world that we live in now, where people are actually believing this crap. A month ago, Kamala Harris was the worst VP to ever be in office. Now she's the savior of the Democrats. This is how ridiculous they are. So it's not going to be a very hard sell for the people voting Democrats or even the people that are wondering who they should vote for to be told by next veteran, you should not have those type of guns, because this is why gun violence happens. Yet they're soft as fuck on crime. And this is where the problem is. Not only is there a mental health issue, but we are soft on crimes. There's no consequences anymore. Not only are they not facing consequences of the owner of the goods that you're stealing. So if you steal my car and I'm not able to defend my property, there's no consequences. Not only is there no consequences anymore, they do get caught, their sentences are joke and they're released. Do you understand how it all goes together? It's not a fucking coincidence that Toronto police can no longer keep their citizens safe, because it wasn't their job to do in the first place. I have the natural right, the God-given right to be able to protect myself and my family any way possible. This has nothing to do with the government. This is a God-given right. This is a natural right. And those people are trying to take those right away from you. And again, if you don't believe me, look at what happened in Canada. Look at still what happened in what is happening right now in Canada. Look at what happened in Venezuela when the first socialist president took power. They always go for the guns. They always remove guns from their population, and they blame safety. But what they're really doing is that they're removing the tools that can allow the citizen to stand up to the government. And this is what the truth is. They're going after your guns because they don't want you to be able to defend yourself against them. This is what the Second Amendment is all about, to be able to protect you as a citizen against a tyrannical government. This is the Second Amendment. And be careful. This is a warning to you. Be careful. As somebody that lived in Canada most of his life, but that has traveled the world, that spent almost 2 years in your country and would hope to become a citizen of your country at one point, be careful. Those are all warning signs. You need to learn to read between the lines. Woo! This was quite the rant. Jeez, I've been going on for 50 minutes. Let's take the time. I will take the time to take some of your comments, guys. And man, there is a lot of it. And I really apologize if I can't get to all of them. I really went on a fucking rant here, but understand this. I am pro First Amendment and Second Amendment. There's a reason why they're the two First Amendment of your Constitution. This is the basis of your freedom. It all stems from having free speech and be able to protect yourself against a tyrannical government. This is why they were the first two of your Constitution. It's not a mistake. It's not a coincidence. Your founding fathers understood the importance of freedom, and without the First and the Second Amendment, you are not free. So it got Chris Gen X 17 fire. Kamala will only be POTUS if the Democrats steal the election. Donald J. Trump in 2024. You know what? And I agree with you. I agree with you completely. But as we already saw, and it's already almost been forgotten that there was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump 3 weeks ago. Don't forget that. This is being brushed under the carpet because they don't want that to be frontline anymore. But there was an assassination attempt on a former president and the current candidate for the Republicans. This happened like 3 weeks ago. Remember that 2 weeks ago, Biden was healthy. Biden was ready to go for president one more time. Within the span of 2 weeks, he got COVID, dropped out of the race, endorsed Kamala Harris. Every other people that could have become candidates, like Big Mike Obama, like Hillary Clinton, like Gavin Newsom, all endorsed her. So not only did there was no election They did not choose their candidate the way that they're supposed to, because everybody bowed down. Everybody fell in line, leaving just Kamala Harris to be the potential candidate. And not only that, but there was a deadline of June 30th for any new candidate. So even if Gavin Newsom, Big Mike Obama, and Hillary Clinton would have complained, it was too late. They couldn't have become a candidate. They did it so perfectly that the only person that could be in power, that could be presented as the candidate, is Kamala Harris. And now she just named her VP a veteran that is a climate change activist, that is trying to that has passed laws, that has passed anti-gun laws, and is an LGBTQ ally. Do you understand why I said at the beginning that he is the perfect candidate for the candidate for the Democrats? This is exactly why. He is the perfect candidate for them. Pure evil doing the evil work, the patriotic angel, and I agree with you 100%. 100%. This is exactly it. You know, I've said this before and I will say it again. This election is no longer about left versus right, Democrats versus Republican. It's about good versus evil. What do you want? Do you want to be free? Do you want to have your freedoms? Or do you want to give so much power away to the government that they can tell you what you can and cannot say and what type of guns you can own? Your freedom of speech and your freedom to protect yourself are yours. They were given to you by your founding fathers. Don't let people like Kamala Harris take them away from you. On that note, I got to say, I apologize for all the comments that I can't read. I'm really, really, really grateful for every single one of you that has posted on Clapper, that has posted on Instagram. But unfortunately, I went on a massive rant. I apologize. It's just, I'm very, very, I got gun rights to heart because I've lost mine in Canada. I don't want you guys to do the same mistakes as we did in Canada, as the law-abiding gun owners made in Canada, because we let it happen. We did not want to get involved. We just wanted to be left alone. And that allowed the left, very liberal people like Justin Trudeau, to take our guns away. Don't make the same mistake as we did. Do not make the same mistake as we did, and understand and learn from what is happening to Canada. Let that be a warning sign to you guys. And you know what? This is the perfect segue right here. If you are tired of what's going on right now, if you're tired of the mess that we find ourselves in, here are 5 things that you can start doing today. First, stay up to date with what's going on in the world and in your community. 2, make sure that you know what your kids are being taught in school. Number 3, attend all local school board meetings and city council meetings. You need to know what those people are trying to teach your children, and you need to know what they're trying to change in your community. You need to be aware of what those people do, because the decisions that they make will directly impact you. Directly, this is where you live. Those are the most important things that you can do to make sure that you're always at the school board meetings and that you're always at the city council meetings. Number 4, find people in your community that shares your values and get involved any way you can. If you know other people like you, make sure they attend those city meetings as well, those city council meetings. Make sure that you have your voice heard in those meetings. Make sure that you say what needs to get said. Be that person. Be that person that's ready to get hated on, that's ready to, get a lot of hate. But at the end of the day, who you're protecting is your kids. You're protecting your kids and your community against evil. Yeah, you're literally protecting your kids against an evil agenda that we're seeing everywhere. And number 5, make sure that you have your voice heard on social media. Create content talking about this. Expose the people that you know are doing evil. Speak up. Here's your opinion. Give Tell people around you what you stand up for, and chances are you're going to wake them up too, because they might be scared of speaking. A lot of people are scared of speaking because they don't want to lose their relationship with their family. They don't want to lose their jobs. But you know what? I quit a 6-figure job to do this. I went from making hundreds of thousands of dollars every year to quitting it so that I could voice my opinion, so that I can help, so that I can be the voice for people like you. This is why I do what I do. I get all the hate every single day just because I want to speak the truth. I want to talk about what pisses us all. You need to do the same. And if you cannot, if there's for specific reason you do not want to be in front of that camera, share content from people like me or other conservatives out there that actually care about what's going on in the US, what's going on in Canada, what's going on across the world. Have your voice heard on social media. As always, I want to finish with a prayer. So, God, thank you for everything that you do for us. We are grateful for all our blessings. Please help us find the courage to stand up for what we know is right, the words to speak what needs to be said, and the will to help and serve others. Amen. Thank you for being there. Thank you for all your comments. I apologize once again for not being able to answer them all, but know that I appreciate every single one of you, and I will see you guys on Friday. Peace out.